Hello again, everybody, and welcome to We Watch Shudder. It's Spooktober. Michelle, what day is this coming out? Did I hit you with a surprise?
October 8th. No, October 8th. I was
October
ready.
8th is the date. You guys know by now. It's April when we're recording this. It's fine. October 8th, we are making our way through October, going back and picking up original and exclusive Shudder releases that came out before we started the podcast in March of 2022. And today, we are here to talk about a movie called Yummy. My name is JD Provorse.
I was going to say, who are you? We should introduce ourselves.
Yeah. It hit me right as you started to say it. I was so excited about getting into the episode. My name is JD. I am one of your hosts here at We Watch Shudder. And who do I have here with me?
I am Michelle.
It's Michelle, everybody. Yay!
Do you think by 6 months from now they'll be very, very tired of that?
Probably. They're probably, frankly, already very, very tired of it, considering they're listening to this in October. They're probably also very tired of us talking about how it's not October when we're recording these. One of these days, I'm going to remember that we don't need to mention that, but who knows?
Yeah, it was supposed to just be like a fun behind-the-scenes thing, and now we have brought it up every episode.
It just happens every single time now.
We're such honest people that we can't take like lying to them.
I think we're just weirdly obsessive people who get caught up in habits.
No.
That's me, at least. Yeah. Oh, so you guys obviously know what the score is here at We Watch Shudder. This is a podcast where we watch Shudder. Quite a clever name. Looking at original and exclusive releases. Today, we are talking about a Dutch/Flemish film called Yummy. Taking a look at the description on the Shudder website. Here you go, guys. When a young couple travels to a shady hospital for cosmetic surgery, the boyfriend stumbles upon a patient suffering from an experimental rejuvenation treatment. He frees her, but doesn't realize she's ground zero for an outbreak which will change the doctors, patients, and his mother-in-law into bloodthirsty, utterly outrageous zombies. A Shudder original. Yummy. Michelle, hit us with those spoiler-free thoughts on Yummy.
Okay, so Yummy starts out as kind of a weird, off-putting movie, and it's kind of odd coloring and oversaturated, and none of the jokes are really landing. They're kind of just like putting you off a little bit, and it's not doing a great job of being a comedy or a horror. And then all of a sudden, shit gets real. Shit gets real very, very, very quickly. And then shit continues to be real, and it never stops. And it is fantastic, and I love this movie, and it gets a 4 out of 5 skulls.
Well, I tell you what, this is kind of a rare occurrence here on We Watch Shudder, but man, I am right there with you. I enjoyed the hell out of this movie the first time I saw it. I enjoyed the hell out of it the second time when I went back and watched it again to get ready for recording this episode. I agree with you. It does start out kind of slow. It could have gotten to the action a little bit quicker, but overall, it's a splattery good time. I think the comedy lands. There are huge belly laughs at some points in this movie. I think the horror works really well. It's a little bit Reanimator. It's a little bit Shaun of the Dead. It's a little bit 1960s Russ Meyer titsploitation movie. For those of you who know, like Faster Pussycat, Kill Kill, and Beyond the Valley of the Dolls, it's that, you know, there's elements of that as well. Basically what I'm getting at is the poster image, the tagline on it is facelifts, boob jobs, and zombies. And that really kind of tells you quite a bit about what's going on in this movie. I had a great time. I am also going 4 out of 5 skulls on this one, which means we have the same skull, or the same skull rating, and we do not have the same skull. That would be super weird. But I tell you what, now that I think about it, that actually is the plot of a horror movie that came out last year called Malignant. There, I spoiled it for you. There's a lady with a twin brother who's on the back of her head. If you haven't seen it, don't watch it. It's terrible.
I love Malignant, and I will defend it to the death. I loved that movie, but I was thinking more that instead of sharing a skull simultaneously, it was more, hey, it's my day for the skull, and I get the skull, and you just have to be squishy until you get it back. I thought it was like a lending.
It's
situation.
my day with the skull. That would be a really interesting film.
Yummy is now tied with two other movies as of this recording for our top spot, which is the Spine of the Night Scare Package and Yummy. I'll get 4.
Awesome.
That's our highest score so far. So, and I agree with that. Yummy is very fun.
All right, guys, so that's the spoiler-free section. If you want a chance to go check this out now before we dig into what we really loved about this movie and maybe a few things that we didn't so much care for, this is where you're going to want to do that. Hit that pause button now. All right. I was not sure. I knew there was real strong possibility that you would like this one, but also I felt there was a reasonable chance it would have not been your flavor at all. No pun intended, considering the title. But I'm glad that you did enjoy it. It reminded me so much of a lot of my. Like, the way I look at horror over the years is, like, the 1970s was this real gritty, aggressive, like, real dark sort of horror with movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and The Exorcist and Halloween. And the 80s is definitely where we started to get a little bit more camp and comedy into horror, at least from where I was coming in. And I just loved it. I loved the obviously so many homages to movies like Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead, things like Reanimator. I had so much fun. And I don't even know where to start. The gore effects are fantastic. Look, here's where I'm just gonna jump right in. We're gonna skip over a bunch of things because this is the spoiler section anyway. Probably my single favorite chunk of this entire movie is the sequence with that dude and his cosmetically enlarged dick. And
that is my favorite part too. Oh my god.
Oh my god. So the guy has gone to this cosmetic surgery clinic in some nondescript East European area. I'm sure they told us at some point, but this is not a movie you get lost in the details on. And he had his penis enlarged. And then he's in this sequence where he's with this lady and he saves her life, and she's like, "Oh, I don't want to die a virgin." And so with his recently surgical penis, and they show it all to you, like there's no hiding anything. This is special effects dick right on the screen. And he unwraps it, and it's all, like, swollen and clearly post-surgical. And then it's not, like, they go to put a cream on it, and it turns out to be flammable. And she lights a match to try and read what the cream is, and she drops the match on his dick, and his dick bursts into flames, and then she shoots a fire extinguisher at it, and it freezes, and the head, I was rolling. I was in belly laugh stitches through this entire portion of the movie.
He was in stitches, and then he took them off to have sex, and that started the whole problem.
There's so many, like, this movie is very much all about the gore and the splatter, right? The sequence with the lady, they clearly hired a lady who is for some reason, I don't know if it was an injury or whatever, but is missing a couple of legs, and they used her to a couple of legs. That's all the legs that a lady would be missing. What a weird choice.
Well, I mean,
of words.
depending, maybe she has more legs from other people, and she has misplaced them temporarily.
She was born with 3 and couldn't handle it, so she asked that they all be surgically removed. But
exactly.
No, she's like, hey, and there's like a sequence where it looks like she's eating her own intestines while this bright green goo comes pouring out of her. Man, I realize I'm just skipping around here talking about a lot of splattery, gory details. I love how the movie ends with everybody dies. Everybody dies, and then the movie is just over. I had so much fun. You probably have more coherent thoughts on this one. Why don't you talk for a while?
Oh, that's funny, because I was going to say I also don't have very coherent thoughts. I do need to tell you one note. At a certain point, I just started writing down when people died or got very injured. And my favorite one, my note says, killed and then robe blows up to show her butt, and tramp stamp that says Destiny with 2 Ys.
Right. And of course, the whole gimmick is she was there to have the tattoo removed, and you could definitely see why. Oh, man, what a terrible tattoo. What else you got? Help me out here.
I I got a whole lot of boobies. Doctor eating out a lady.
Oh yeah,
literally.
Yeah, yes, exactly. I thought that was again a cool reference. I feel to Reanimator. There's that famous sequence in Reanimator where this doctor with the severed head makes it look like he's gonna go down on the lady. And that's this whole thing. You see a lady in a cosmetic surgery chair, and there's a dude underneath a hood, and he's like, it looks like he's performing oral sex on her, and then no, he's literally eating her innards out of her body. Oh God, it's just ridiculous, over the top splatter and gore and so much fun. Especially reminiscent even of things like Return of the Living Dead, where stuff started to get real. This movie just made me feel like I was watching a fun 80s splatter flick again on every level, and it's super, super great. The effects are awesome, really, really well done. There's that whole section of the movie where, for no reason at all, he finds that room with all the weird creatures in pickle jars, and he cracks the one open, and now there's this little monster creature running around for no reason at all, and then it gets killed at the end. It's just there, just a little extra treat in the movie. There's this little weird monster running around.
It's such a bizarre movie.
It is.
Like the first 20 minutes, I was like, I'm not gonna like this. I don't like it so far. I wasn't finding it funny. I wasn't finding it horrific. It was just very off-putting. And I was like, clearly they're going for creepy vibes. They are nailing that. But I'm not feeling like scared. I'm not feeling anything except just like, ugh. And then it just like takes off. This guy who wants to be a doctor stumbles across a woman who is unsupervised in a tiny room and naked, or at least topless. I don't remember. I think she was 90 topless. Yes, and his thoughts as somebody
down to the bed.
Yes, strapped down with a big face mask on, and his thoughts as a doctor is, let me remove the face mask. Like, what if that was holding her face together? Like, what kind of, like, no wonder you're not a doctor. That's a terrible idea. You shouldn't just stumble into a room and start like taking people's faces off of them. And then of course she's a zombie and she breaks out and she starts the whole thing. And so like it starts just so ridiculous and like kind of badly. It's a bad movie for 20 minutes. And then it just gets so cool.
Yes.
It's like continues. It just like, there's not a lot to say about this one because they just like keep brutalizing their
just guts and blood and brains, all sorts of fun things. From a character perspective, okay, so it's definitely a silly, ridiculous splatter film that I don't think was aiming for too much depth in any way. But don't you think there is a certain amount of this movie that is very much about lampooning like toxic masculine traits? Like you have the dude who's there and works at the hospital just to take advantage of ladies who are feeling low self-esteem and anxious about whatever procedures they just had. He talks repeatedly about using that to his advantage, and you watch him do that to the central lead here in this movie. You've got her boyfriend, who's the opposite problem, which is he's too beta. He's so just complete, like he's completely unwilling to step up in any way whatsoever until probably it's way too late. You have that whole sequence with that guy who's so obsessed with his dick that he had to come in and get it fixed up and enlarged. And then, even though there's an insane zombie death outbreak going on, the instant the tip of his dick falls off, he says, no, fuck this lady, I gotta go find a doctor, and runs immediately into the waiting zombies who devour him en masse just because he couldn't deal with the fact that he was having dick. There's that bit at the beginning where the dudes on the bus are all like, the central conceit is she wants to get her breasts reduced.
You're not talking about the central.
Right, is because she's sick of people like ogling her and commenting on her body the whole time. I did think there was a little bit of that thematically running through the movie, but not. It's clearly something that maybe was just the maybe not the point of the movie
catalyst.
or what they were really getting at, but just the sensibilities of the people who wrote it maybe sort of shining through, and the way they thought these things could be made comical. I thought that was super cool. But again, overall, it's just fun splatter, guts and gore and ridiculous humor, and everybody dies. And it's like literally everybody dies by the end of the movie, even the nice people. And it was just so much fun. And I can't recommend enough that you go check this one out.
I would hope that they have seen it by this point. Otherwise, we just told them a lot.
Oh
of
yeah,
stuff.
I mean at this point, yeah. If you haven't seen the movie, well, sorry guys. I told you 10 minutes ago to pause the recording and go watch the movie. But oh my god,
it's kind of your own fault at this point.
It was so much fun. And other than that, yeah, I don't know that this one might clock in as our shortest episode to date, because I don't really know what else to say, except I think if you haven't seen the movie, even though we gave it all away, you really should still go see it, because I think you're going to love it anyway. It's super fun.
I don't have a ton to say, except that I don't think that the lead character, I don't think that's her real hair. So that was my only comment that we did not cover. I am pretty sure that is a fake ponytail, and you know what? I'm fine with it.
There is one other thing that I wanted to mention, because this is another thing that made me think there might be a little more depth to this movie than I initially thought. There's this thing that happens right when they arrive at the clinic that they just kind of blow by, and it does play into the plot later, because it turns out, so they provide abortions also at this clinic, and then they're using those fetuses for experimental embryonic stem cell treatments and that sort of thing. But there's this great moment where the main characters are just being welcomed into the hospital, and they're being sort of taken on a tour, or at least a walkthrough of the facility. And suddenly they see these very young girls, and the boyfriend looks at them with this look that just says, whoa, why are these young girls at a plastic surgery clinic? That might be unethical and bad for their future self-esteem and things. And the lady who's giving them the tour, just in a quick throwaway line that they never mention again, she says, oh, they're young girls who got accidentally pregnant. We're giving them abortions at no cost. And the lead character lady is like, oh, that's really nice. And I loved that, because I'm definitely a proponent of women's reproductive health rights and that sort of thing. And it was the kind of thing that I thought was very clearly I don't want to say a political statement, but a statement of commentary that they just sort of wedged in there real quick. They didn't want you to focus on it or be too overwhelmed by it. But again, like the sensibilities of the authors shining through there, I thought that was super cool.
And I hated that part because they broke the Hippocratic Oath. Or the HIPAA. They broke HIPAA.
Yes, it's definitely a HIPAA violation.
And accountability. Yeah, no, like,
I don't think a clinic that's using embryonic stem cells to create rejuvenation treatments that turn people into zombies are too concerned about HIPAA violations, Michelle.
I don't know. Out of the entire movie, that was the part that disgusted me the most. I was like, how dare you? That is that girl's business.
A woman's eating her own intestines, but the HIPAA violation is what got to you.
Yeah, no, the girl getting her fingers cut in the stuck in the manhole cover and then cut off very slowly
that
with
was
a razor.
Rough.
No big deal, but you violate HIPAA and I got a problem.
Yeah, because that to me was probably the most genuinely horrific moment in the movie, when he's got to saw her fingers off with a piece of broken glass. Oh my! Even just the hand getting crushed in the manhole cover. When I was like, I want to say maybe 5 years old, I accidentally got my hand slammed in a car door. Like the door was fully latched closed, and my hand was just wedged inside there for a second. And they opened the door again right away, and my fingers were fine, but it hurt and just ever since then I have a thing with fingers getting smashed. We talked. I talked about it in an episode of All Screens Great and Small in that movie X, when that lady gets her hand smashed. I probably shouldn't tell you this.
I haven't seen it.
Jesus, what am I doing? Stop, JD.
That's
stop.
Okay.
Okay.
A woman has a hand and something bad happens.
Right.
That's okay. That's not a
you'll
spoiler.
forget about it by the time you see it. It'll be.
You know what?
Anyway, smashed fingers.
By by the time we do this episode in October, I will have seen it. So therefore,
it doesn't help you now, though.
No, just retroactively.
So my point is, there are things about things that get to me about fingers getting smashed, and that really did it. And then anything getting cut off with no anesthesia. Oh man, yeah, super fun. Super fun. We're both saying go see Yummy. I think is what the conclusion we're drawing here is, right?
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, why are you listening at this point? You should be gone. You should have watched it by now. At least we've told you a couple times to pause it.
Go watch
and
Yummy.
If you have seen it, go make your friends who don't like gore watch it and just laugh.
Oh yeah, it's just chuckle at them. It'll be a good time. All right, so I think that's all that needs to be said about Yummy. 4 skulls across the board. Go see it on Shudder, and we will talk to you again tomorrow. Say goodnight, Michelle.
Good night, Michelle.